The city of Atlanta, known for the peaches, the hip-hop scene, the Flying Hawks that play downtown, and one thing that happens just on the outskirts of the area, racing. Not too far away, you'll find a 1.5-mile speedway with slick racing written all over it. Where tonight, we welcome you to the second race of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series and the GGR Henry County 120, live from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, and with our coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. So happy that we are to have you for our coverage. We're right up atop the broadcast booth here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. My name is Kenneth Bueno. This is the second race of the inaugural WORC Dynamo Designs National Series after a thriller at the Daytona International Speedway just last week. Benjamin A. White was the winner of that one. We have a almost full field here tonight for the second event here from Atlanta. It'll be our first taste of a 1.5-mile speedway as we get ready for what's going to be a very difficult track, not only from the outskirts of looking from the spectator side, but also looking from the driver's side as well. Right now, drivers are sitting in qualifying as we stand, so they're ready to take their trip around this 1.54-mile speedway and get ready for some green flag racing. Just before that, we'll take a look overhead and see exactly where we are in the virtual world as we'll take a look at our KBueno track map with images, of course, provided to us by Google Earth. Sailing to Hampton, Georgia, not too far away from downtown Atlanta. There it is, 1.5 miles, 2.4 kilometers. The Atlanta Motor Speedway opened all the way back on July 31st of 1960 and has been one of the most unique surfaces and tracks on the NASCAR calendar. 24 degrees of banking lie in each and every turn. Only 5 degrees you'll find on the straightaways and, of course, on that quad oval to the start-finish line. Of course, only 4 turns. This is a natural oval, so you're looking for the quad oval on the front, and of course, all the turns around this very track. It didn't look like this back when it opened in 1960. It had more of a shape similar to the Homestead of Miami Speedway, which had just 2 straights and the turns in the middle, but with a reconfiguration a while back, changed it from that track sort of configuration into this configuration here, the quad oval that you see, and the one that's been so famous for many great finishes, for many great moments in NASCAR history, and of course, as it stands for the future, going to be reconfigured once again and get some higher degrees of banking. Going to also remain one of the most unique tracks on this calendar. And one thing also to note, with this series, we use the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, so with that, you're going to see a lot of slipping and sliding. This track usually known for its slick nature when the NASCAR Cup Series, when the Xfinity Series, and when the Truck Series head over here each and every year. And so with this configuration, you're going to see a lot of sliding, a lot of bumps with these cars taken, and that could very well upset a lot of those cars and could give the drivers a ride for their money, especially when it comes to keeping their tires cool and making sure they don't wear them over the course of a long run. So it's going to be a great one here tonight from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia. We're getting ready for what's going to be a fantastic night of green flag racing as qualifying ticks down all the way to 0. We get closer and closer to the start of this race, and we will kick it trackside. We'll take a moment to head for the starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight from Atlanta, the second round of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series and the GGR Henry County 200. On pole will be the 93 of Dimitri Mondros of the 31.469. He will be the first driver to lead us to green alongside Mitch Hobbs in the 89 for Nebula Esports, returning after a heartbreaking effort at Daytona where he got taken out a little bit earlier in the event. So he was starting that outside of that first row, going to try to beat Mondros to the green flag. The 723 of Bennett Parsons will line up in third. Chris Brown in the 136 will be alongside him to capitalize row number 2. Ethan Workman in the 25 will start inside row 3 for the top 5. Christian Visconti, who finished in the top 3 last week at Daytona, gonna look to repeat or even get better and win tonight's race as he rolls off from P6. Garrett A. White in the Clemson Toyota Supra in the 26 will roll off from P7. Logan Pugh in the 01, who started dead last week at Daytona. Better qualifying effort tonight. He starts just outside of that 4th row. Josh Patterson for Nova Sim Racing in the 02 will start in 9th. Connor Harvilla in the 20 will round out your current top 10 as we get to the green. Ezekiel Reyes from the booth to the track. He'll take track here, starting 11th. Shane Fuller in the outside of him. He'll start in P12 before you find Gino Mero in the 71. Austin Doran in the 55 will line up in 14th. Ryan Lochte in the 81. Hunter Collier in the 98. Back to P16. Hunter Fox, Brayson Collins, league owner, back to row number 9. Jay Mulder, the Canadian, in the 51. Mason Sweet will start alongside him to finish off the top 20. Back to row 11. Ethan Harrison makes his start in the 77. Henry Clapper in the 34 will start alongside him in P22. Aiden Kirker, the driver from the QuickTime Sprint Car League, he's going to be making his first start here tonight in the 39 and 23rd. Cole Woody will have a good amount of work to do from P24 on the grid in that 17 Toyota Supra. The 44 of Timmy Spatz will line up in 25th, along with Pierce Maffett, one of the heavy hitters at Daytona last week, looking to be a heavy hitter tonight, although he's going to roll off from P26. Frederick Seagraves in the 95 will roll off 27th. Kyle Plumstead will be alongside him in 28th. Riding at the top 30 tonight will be Wayne Castile and Ryan Martin. Those are the last drivers to take qualifying times. Benjamin A. White will start 31st. Joe Burgee in 32nd. Paul Granada 33rd, DJ Powell, Jarek Hernandez 35th. Nick Pena will be the final driver in P36, lining up your entire grid here tonight from Atlanta. So from a full 43 car field at Daytona to a solid 35 strong here from the 1.5 mile track. A lot of racing has been done here, and we will see the Cinnamon Toast Crunch Ford Mustang take green for the first time on the pole for him this entire season. Let's take a look at the weather, see exactly how it is here from Atlanta. It's a 79-degree air temp here alongside Hampton, Georgia. Winds barely to the north-northwest at about 1 to 2 miles per hour. No humidity, no fog. It is a partly cloudy day in Sam, which means it is absolutely gorgeous, and the sun's going to be beaming down on the track all night long, barring any clouds that'll cover the racetrack at certain points throughout the event. But nonetheless, it's going to be a lot of fun. 80 laps on tap here for a total of 42 minutes on the telemetry screen, as the two Ford Mustangs, the prancing horses, will be the first two, the 93 and the 89, to lead us to the green flag. Dimitri Mondros brings us to the green flag. We're underway in the GGR Henry County 200 as already the leaders get collected. It's a big crash. Bennett Parsons involved, your pole sitter involved in it. I see Ezekiel Reyes caught up in the mayhem, and everybody's stopping already. Caution flag comes out. A bit of wheel spin caused that first yellow, and what looked like a clean start up until the beginning becomes a very dirty start on the opening lap before we even get to turn 1. Take a look at the replay and see exactly how it all started. And I believe it was the driver of the 89, Mitch Hobbs, who got all out of shape here. Actually, it looked like it was a bit of a struggle trying to get up through the gears. You'll see it alongside the 93. No problems here from the pole sitter. It's just going to be where the Nebula Esports car gets out of shape right there. Slams into the 93, gets into the 723, and then it is just a big stack up after that. Lots of drivers trying to find their way out of it. You see right there just how hard the hit was to the driver of the 93, your pole sitter. That is exactly not how he wanted to start this race. Here's a look on board from Jay Mulder in the 51. I say we lost a bit of the feed there, and just a bunch of drivers collected in it. Just a huge mess, especially given the fact that there are no fast repairs in this race. It means that the drivers are going to have to work to get their cars repaired, and that means a lot of the heavy front runners that were looking to start this race off on a high note are going to have to sort of stay down pit road and hope that they don't go at least one lap down or more. There are a couple drivers trying to get back up to speed. As Dimitri Mondros in the 93, there he is with significant damage to the right side of his Ford Mustang and to the rear end. We'll see if that affects him too hard aerodynamically. Mitch Hobbs, looks like Bennett Parsons, they're on pit road. There's Parsons with severe front end damage to his Supra. Looks like Mitch Hobbs is officially pulled to behind the garage, so his night may indeed be over before it even gets started here tonight from Atlanta. So already a very harsh beginning to this race. Definitely not the way you want to see it go down. So with the calamity at the front of the field, it will push Ethan Workman in the 25, the Ohio State Chevrolet Camaro. He will be at the front of the field for the first time tonight. So although there were a lot of negatives for people who lost out, there are some people who survived the wreck that are pretty much on the positive side. They're gaining here on track position. Logan Pugh also going to be one of them. Connor Havrilla. There's Ezekiel Reyes. I believe he spun around in the infield grass, but there is no damage to that ACOG Chevrolet Camaro, so he will continue on and he will start on the restart here in P4. We should get the 1 to green this time by, so hopefully we're able to go green flag racing and hopefully get some laps in. There are the lights out on the iRacing official pace truck, so indeed we will go green here tonight from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll see if we can try to get a long run in and hopefully have a cleaner restart and not have any more cars damaged. You do not want to see a big field get torn up so early on, especially given the fact that this is only an 80 lap race, not too long of an event, not too enduring for many of the drivers behind the wheel. So they want to keep it as clean as possible to especially make it to the end and obviously give themselves a shot at the win. But while we're under yellow and while we're ready to get things started on the restart, we'll remind you that, of course, tonight's broadcast is brought to you by GGR. And a big thanks for sponsoring tonight's event, the GGR Henry County 200. If you're interested in their upcoming Jetta series or their primary IndyCar series on their side, message them on Instagram at ggr.leagues for information on how to join. Again, special thanks for GGR for sponsoring this series, sponsoring this race. Hopefully you see more involvement from them in the future. I know GGR was very big in the Forza days back in FM7, and they've made the transition to iRacing. So if you're interested in any sort of new leagues, be sure to give them a notification. Pace truck makes its way down to pit road. Hopefully we can get a green flag started. Single file here with cautions around 5 laps or less. Green flag is out. Ethan Workman takes the field to turn 1. Quick start for Ethan Workman as he commands the field back to the start-finish line to complete lap 5 of 80. Ezekiel Reyes, what a move he made on the opening restart there. Apart from the crash on the opening lap, he's already moved his way to second, took advantage of the likes of Pugh and Connor Havrilla. Now that 07 ACOG machine has moved his way to second. Car got loose underneath there on the bottom. I believe that's the 77 of Ethan Harrison. His Toyota Subaru backup. That's Benjamin White there trying to get out of the way, but he will stay clean. Got a little bit loose at the exit of turn 2. He seems to be okay. We will stay green. Meanwhile, battle for second is on. There's Logan Pugh outside in his Nova Sim Racing Ford Mustang. He makes the move complete on Ezekiel Reyes for position. And now Reyes may get hounded here because here comes Connor Havrilla, Austin Duran, here's Shane Fuller, Hunter Fox, a whole host of cars trying to take position away. There's Krista Visconti, the number 80 machine, the driver who finished in P2 last week at Daytona. It's good to see him back in the mix, trying to get around that 57 of Shane Fuller. And now everybody's starting to cluster in. There's Duran around the 07 of Ezekiel Reyes, and it seems as though Reyes is stuck on the bottom side of the racetrack. Nowhere to go for him. He's going to lose out on many of the positions early on in tonight's race. But for the moment, it remains Ethan Workman at the front of the field off turn 2. Take a look a little bit further back. We rode on board with the 51 of Jay Mulder, so he's up now to P20, making this move on the 68 of DJ Powell. We saw that BMS Chevrolet Camaro do well in the opening segment at Daytona last week. Unfortunately, got caught up in some incidents that took him out of the running for the win. Although good to see him back on the racetrack and good to see him in contention for position there alongside that 51 machine. Here's a couple of cars in a nice pack around just outside the top 15 as they spread across out of turn 2 once again. There's Joe Berge, the number 83 machine, the Nova Sim Racing Toyota. Here he is getting around Wayne Castile and also trying to defend against Benjamin A. White. This was the winner last week at Daytona, fresh off of the checkered flag, of course looking for his second straight win of the series and to remain undefeated in his tries in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. And I know it's still a fairly early start. I mean, he's already up to 17th, so already half of the progress is made up after starting back in 31st. I don't believe he really took a qualifying time in the qualifying session. So already some good moves here. And given the fact that we did have that opening lap crash before we even got to the first corner, it's definitely helped him. But no doubt the speed is there on that Nebula Esports Toyota Supra. Ezekiel Reyes continues, though, on the downfall. Unfortunately, has not been able to clear up top. It seems as though whenever somebody gets by, there's always space for somebody else to fill in. And this time, Brayson Collins is the one making the pass. Shane Fuller is the one filling the gap out of turn 2. And so the 07, although it was a very electric start starting to fizzle out here over the course of the first couple laps. There's the 41 Pierce Maffitt, his car going around. That Matrix designed Chevy Camaro was a heavy hitter at Daytona not too long ago, so good to see him back on the track, and he enters the top 10 for the first time tonight after starting all the way back in P26. So a lot of very big movers here early on in Atlanta. But you'll start to see a lot of those moves start to either die down or at least form into some sort of skill gap, because of course I mentioned here the track surface is very slick here from Atlanta, and what that does end up with means that you have to save your tires. So for drivers who do not conserve their Goodyear Eagles in enough time over a long run, if we get there, and of course you're gonna start to oversteer. Car will also start to push up out of the corner, could end you up in the outside wall. Of course, depending on the lane you choose, could be very sort of soft depending on the punishment, or could be very harsh depending on where you are and how you are relative to other drivers on the track. And so let's say when we dip into lap 10, lap 15, lap 20 in a run, and so on, we should see a very clear distinction between drivers who did save well and drivers who did not do great on the tire strategy. There's Christian Visconti in the 80 machine. Here he is trying to get around a fellow bow tie, sponsored by Chevrolet Accessories. That is the 20 of Connor Hervilla. There is the pass. So inside, this is going to be for P4 on the racetrack. And so Visconti making some early moves, expecting him to probably be one of the better ones. Talked to a league owner last week, Grayson Collins, and he said Visconti was probably someone to watch coming into tonight's race in Atlanta, just because he usually has a lot of speed at these types of tracks, especially given the fact that we are racing these Xfinity Series cars. So definitely should watch out for the 80 machine, who's sort of rocking a Hendrick cars, if you can see, Visco car on his red Chevrolet Camaro, but you could already see sort of the similarities between that and the Junior Motorsports Hendrick cars sponsor that they had not too long ago in what is now the NASCAR Xfinity Series. A couple of drivers have already moved up through the lanes, so you're seeing a couple of drivers already work through the high side. Some drivers want to stay for the middle, so a lot of options here at Atlanta. Here's the 41 of Pierce Maffitt. He's on the high side, sort of middle, not exactly right up against that outside wall Kyle Larson style, but he is working that middle lane, not wanting to hug that bottom lane like we see Harvick do not so long ago. And so the field's starting to really string out. But what that has done is brought the top two together. Logan Pugh right on board with him. This is exiting back to turn 2 out of that second corner, going for turn 3, and here he's got the nose under for the race lead. Was working on Ethan Workman for a while. He's gonna push up tight in the middle of 3 and 4, but he's still gonna have the space available to him. So the 01 of Logan Pugh is gonna work his way potentially to the race lead back to turn 1. It'll fall out here for the driver of the 01, but he still has an opportunity. He'll hit the reset button and try again as Workman plays a little defense, tries to put the 01 in a bit of turbulent air, forcing Pugh all the way up to the outside wall and that very top groove. And he's going to find a bit of momentum in this, in a ways, involving the 33 of Hunter Fox. So while they're starting to fight, while they're starting to slow each other down a little bit by putting pressure on each other, has allowed the 33 of Hunter Fox to sort of come in over the course of this run. So we may end up seeing a 2-horse fight become a trio very, very soon. And that 33 is definitely working through that last time by. Set the fastest lap out of the top 3 at 32.875 comparative to Pugh's 33 flat and compared to Workman's 32.9. So that the 33 rather, is very quick on the racetrack. And he's definitely setting quick times. That time by still quicker by almost a tenth. Caution though will weigh before he can make his progress, and the field will slow down, and we'll see exactly who might have been involved. It may tell me that Frederick Seagraves in the 95 could very well be a part of this incident. Don't see any other drivers around on the track. However, the 95 obviously with the most notable damage here. We'll see if he was the driver that got a bit of damage here up through the front of the field. And actually, I do see Christian Visconti rather far down the grid. Actually, no, he was up there, so no distinct there. That's timing and scoring being a little bit wonky there. But nonetheless, we'll try and see if we can potentially get her out of where that incident might have been between the entire field. Don't necessarily see too much. It's pretty hard to see exactly where this caution came out. Exactly which driver was involved. So we'll take a moment and see exactly who might have had the worst damage out of it. But nonetheless, caution is out for the second time here tonight. Will force the field to slow themselves down and put themselves behind the iRacing official pace car. So we'll push everyone down pit road. Ethan Workman is going to be the driver that takes the field. Logan Pugh would be Hunter Fox. Christian Visconti to line at the top 4. That's Ezekiel Reyes. Actually, no, that's Connor Hervilla, rather. Ezekiel Reyes a little bit further back. Hervilla is going to be in the top 5 there. So he will try. As the field comes down pit road for the first time tonight, a little bit slow there for Workman. It's going to bring the 0-1 of Logan Pugh to the race lead. '93 of Mondros misses the pit stall. Unfortunate for him, and I believe we had one driver who did have the fastest pit stop. It was actually Brayson Collins who beat the field out, so he's going to be in the race lead. Logan Pugh, though, beats out the competition between himself and Ethan Workman. Workman loses a lot of time down pit road. He's going to be as far as 5th on this next restart. So a bit of a lackluster stop there for the driver of that number 25. And for the 0-1, seems to be on the other end of the spectrum and may have been either a no-stop call here, maybe a missed stall here from the 5 of Brayson Collins. Doesn't register a pit stop time for this car, so we'll see if he ends up taking a second guess. Actually, no, he's not going to guess at all. He's going to stay out. So indeed, we will remain with the number 5 of Brayson Collins, the league owner, up at the front of the field. Should expect the 1 to green very, very soon. We'll take another lap and we'll see exactly whether we'll get this green flag circumstance in a bit of moments with the 5 and the 0-1 lining up the front row over the first quarter of this 80-lap race. Just a reminder that coverage of the GGR Henry County 200 and the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series is brought to you by Dynamo Designs, your one-stop shop for all of your iRacing design needs. Starting at just $5 per scheme, you can message Josh Patterson on Discord at Josh Patterson #9212 or on Facebook at JP Designs to get him working on your iRacing design today. Dynamo Designs, the main sponsor of the entire series. Glad to have him on board for the entire campaign. We have a Dynamo Design sponsored race car up at the front. There it is. You see it on the rear view of the 5 of Brayson Collins' car. Got a question in chat by Francisco Bacalao. He asks, what are your thoughts when you see a wreck on the start as we did? I'm not sure you can really gather your thoughts really when you see a crash like that on the opening start, because usually you'd expect it out of turn 2. You'd see a lot of drivers get a little bit wiggly. Maybe drivers hit each other, back each other up when they're trying to get up to speed. And usually it's time around when they're at the top of 3rd gear, making their way through 4th gear, but not necessarily on the start. Wheel spin is prevalent on old tires here in Atlanta, but since everybody had cold tires, since everybody was just starting the entire race, it was interesting to see sort of the mishap that happened with Mitch Hobbs. And I think the victim in the case obviously was the 93. The cause, though, of the entire incident may have just been a misshift there from the driver of the 89. So while he was trying to work up through the gears, maybe a malfunction happened on the hardware side of things, and of course got the car all out of shape, got the car to send it straight for the bottom side of the racetrack, which then caught in the 93, and of course brought in a bunch of other drivers in the process as well. So ready to go back green here in the GGR Henry County 200 here for the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series at Atlanta, round number 2 of their campaign. Brayson Collins by the fastest pit stop of the entire bunch on pit road. He will lead us on the outside of row 1. Logan Pugh will follow suit back in 2nd. Ethan Workman, actually he won't start 5th, he will start in 3rd, or actually rather 4th. Connor Hervilla will be in 3rd. Cole Woody rounds out the top 5, a big move for him. It's a Nova Sim Racing row there in the 3rd row. Joe Berge will be alongside him on the inside lane. So the 2 Supras trying to find their footing up to the front of the field. Pace car will come back down pit road. Bit of a wobble there out of the 5 of Brayson Collins, but he gets a great jump, and we're back under green in the GGR Henry County 200. Side by side for the lead. Mentioned Ethan Workman's a little bit of a slow stop on pit road, but his fresh tires immediately sail him to the front of the field. So Ethan Workman already on the jump here. I had to correct myself. It's a GGR Henry County 120, not 200. Logan Pugh has already moved himself to third as he goes to the inside for second. And it seems like not much work that Brayson Collins can do, as he's pretty much playing the defense. Now here comes Austin Dorn in the 55. Cole Woody, Joe Berger, Connor Havrilla. The next driver is in line to take the positions away. Benjamin A. White, who came back from beneath the top 30 to end up here within the top 10 for the first time here tonight, as Brayson Collins continues his free fall through the field. There's Havrilla on board with the drive of the 5 as he heads back for turn 1, and a huge pack surrounds him. Notice a bit of slide there, a bit of understeer, had to push up the track, and they're 3 wide for position. That's Cole Woody on the bottom, fending through. Look at Benjamin A. White, pierced through the middle. That was almost 4 wide coming out of turn 4, but somehow the 19 found his way, found the space, and he is up to 4th. The 19 gets through. You see a bit of squirming there. Timmy Spatz here currently in 15th. There's Shane Fuller to go alongside the 04 Paul Granado. Looks like he may have struck the outside wall. Hunter Collier in the 98, the driver behind him. They're trying to open space here for the 71 of Gino Mero and Hunter Fox. Hunter Fox, remember, was in the top 3, so he pretty much went through the field, and now he's back in 17, trying to work back up to the front over the long run. But it's going to be very tough with the entire field around him, as everybody continues to trail for position. Here's Jay Mulder, the Canadian, the 51, now working the inside of Logan Pugh. This is for the top 5. And big moves made here. A couple of drivers now falling, and a couple of drivers starting to emerge among the fold. Ethan Workman has kept himself up on the prime position. Austin Dorn, though, moves in his second for the first time here tonight in this GGR Henry County 120. Benjamin A. White will be back in third. Kristen Visconti has moved his way to 4th. As we mentioned, the pass for 5th between the 51 and the 01 has settled down. Mulder takes that position away. Meanwhile, they're about 3 wide here. There's the 71 of Merrill. He almost got tagged there by the 33 of Hunter Fox coming back into turn 3. And it just continues to get dicey throughout the field. Again, everybody's still slick. And while everybody is on pretty much fresh tires here for this event, you are pushing the car while you're in traffic. So you mix it with dirty air, mix the fact that you're pretty much at 150%, and you may end up making a mistake. Some drivers push a little bit too far wide. They get a little bit overzealous as casual 3 wide. Connor Arvilla gets split through the middle, and Mero and the 33 are able to flush by. You see a lot of drivers get over eager in the midst of traffic. It could result in a lot of chaos, could result in a lot of that. And you see the 71 get a little bit overzealous there in turns 3 and 4, struck the outside wall, and that's going to bring the 20 back in. And it just continues. The fight is never ending near the mid part of the field, but at the front it has remained calm, and the lead is opened up to a solid 1.5 seconds, although the pass has been made for third, for second, and it's Benjamin A. White, the winner of Daytona, back in to the top 3 after last week at Daytona. And over the long run, you see just how much he's gained over the course of this entire race after starting in P31. And he is slowly but surely catching up to the race leader, a full 0.2 faster than the Workman that last time by. Benjamin A. White has a bit of experience at this Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, has raced in the Red Line Racing League, which at one point held races with the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. Atlanta was one of the staple tracks on the schedule. And so the 19 of White is starting to put a little bit of pressure here on the 25 of Workman. We'll see if Workman ends up breaking under it, or whether he's able to break through and still fend off that number 19 if he's able to catch up. So most of the field has sort of simmered through. Most of our green flag stint has been rather clean up until this point. Of course, our last yellow near the rear of the field, unfortunately, We apologize that we could not get to any of the footage of where the drivers were at the time of incident or who was directly involved with this huge car count tonight. However, we do know, of course, that caution really brought the field together. Brayson Collins, who stayed out, looked like on the last start, he's fallen all the way back to P22. There he is, trying to fend off Josh Patterson in the O2 in the Limeade machine. And so it has really brought the field either together or apart in some cases. There's pole sitter Dimitri Mondros after starting on pole, of course, getting hip checked on the right side to start the race is not the way you really want to kick off an event after putting the fastest time out of anyone in qualifying. But it's been somewhat of a solid rebound here for the driver of the 93 as he works his way to 18th, and even despite some of the damage is still able to keep some of the speed up. Everybody stays through. A bit of a pack race right about here. Two Nova Sim Racing Supras working their inside on what is Logan Pugh in the 01. So the 01 just continues to sort of fall back through the field. Cole Woody, Joe Berger with two drivers notable at Daytona just because they were working together. Two of the teammates that were trying to form somewhat of an alliance there at the Super Speedway and work together. Unfortunately, both of them were not able to get to victory lane despite some of their charges to the front. But in this Atlanta race, now to the midfield, working their way to the top 15. As Berger got a bit closer to turn 3, almost gave the bumper to his teammate. They're working together on the bottom and trying to get around a fellow Nova Sim Racing driver. Logan Pugh just can't quite get the move completed as Pugh holds on the high side and gets the run out of the 24 degrees of banking. Connor Hervilla has been sort of the third driver, or rather the fourth driver here in this battle, also with Ryan Lockey in the 81. So he's trying to get some ground here if these drivers make some mistakes. And how about Aiden Kirker in the 39 machine, this U.S. Army Chevrolet Camaro? We have seen this 39 before in many races here on the KBueno Racing Network. If you can recall the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, one of the first instances where we saw this 39 take to the track, the iRacing Bunjun Lawn Care Series, where we saw him take the track as well. So good to see him make his first start in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series here from Atlanta. He's already up to 18th after starting 23rd, so definitely a work in the positive direction. There's a lot of spots for the taking here if these drivers end up making some sort of mistakes throughout the top 20. And so we'll keep an eye on that 39, see if he's able to make any other progress and potentially get around the other Army-inspired paint scheme in the 01 of Logan Pugh. 39 strikes the outside wall just a bit there. He's going to catch up, though, to Connor Hervilla, potentially get the outside working. But we'll look back to the race lead, and there's been another change of position. Looks like the 19 may have had a mistake coming out of the corner, and it looks to be some right side damage. There you can see it on the right side of that Toyota Supra. So we may have indeed seen the 19 tag the wall. There's a big flattened side on that NASCAR Xfinity Series car, and so that has allowed Christian Visconti in the 80 machine to take hold of P2, while both of them have simultaneously caught up to Ethan Workman in the 25. There you see a bit of lap traffic there. I believe that's the 95 machine. That is Seagraves in his car. I believe he was the last cause of the incident and our second yellow of the evening, or involved in the incident. And so they're catching up to Workman, and they're putting a lot of time on the board. You can see it already there, just how tight that gap is between the two Chevrolet Camaros. It was a total of 1.5 seconds at its height, but at the halfway mark, it's already crunched down to half a second. So while Ethan Workman tries to fend off the charging second place Visconti, and as we remain green here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the GGR Henry County 120, we'll get our race summary at the halfway mark as of lap 41, which is always brought to you by Supermix. Ethan Workman, of course, your current race leader by that margin, 0.3 of a second to Christian Visconti. We have completed now 41 laps on the racetrack with a total of 39 laps remaining in this GGR Henry County 120. We've had a total of 3 lead changes, of course, with that first lap incident, with some of the changes on pit road that did result in a lot of the lead changes. We may have our 4th in not too much time. We've had a total of 2 cautions, 1 in the opening lap and 1 not too long after, for a total of 7 laps. That's your race summary tonight on the GGR Henry County 120, presented by Super Mix. Here comes Christian Visconti looking for the race lead. He has been eyeing in, closing in the gap, and now can he make the pass complete? Because catching a driver is one thing, like fully getting around them will be a whole nother ball. And Visconti looked in for the inside at 1 and 2, could not quite find the momentum. They're going to get around a lap car here, so we'll see exactly where the lap car does go as the leaders run the middle to high side. Visconti now finds space to the inside of the racetrack, could potentially get to the door of your leader, can't quite get to the quarter panel, and so Visconti would try once again, and this battle for the lead just continues to get closer and closer. There's one car just behind or just in front of these guys, and then you'll find third place Jay Mulder, who's caught up to the mix. Benjamin A. White has sort of struggled here. I believe he's fallen completely out of the entire running, and so he's back in 32nd. I believe he's fully disconnected, so unfortunately for White, he won't be able to continue running up at the front in this GGR Henry County 120. And so that pushes Mulder to third, pushes Shane Fuller to P4, and the other White, Garrett White, will move up to P5 for the first time tonight for the driver of the 26. And I'm right on board here with Christian Visconti as they got around the lap car there, struggling a bit off of turn 2. But Visconti not able to find the run just yet here in the 25, and that's one thing that'll get tougher and tougher over the course of the run, because when the track gets rubbered in, of course the lines get faster, and we've seen not really the inside become the dominant line, but more so that middle to high groove. That's been where everybody's wanted to be, and you can tell right here in 1 and 2, both of these drivers are almost at the full top groove in the first 2 corners, but they just kind of dive in it, go back to the bottom, and in 3 and 4 they seem to hold the middle better than really any other part of the track. And so while they're running the middle, what it is going to mean is that the car is just not going to respond well on that inside lane. You could rock the bottom and be rather quick like Visconti is doing right now, catching up to the leader, but he is completely stalled. And part of that is because he can't really find any other lane down low to make a pass, because if he tries to make a pass, the 24 degrees of banking is only going to assist the race leader in Workman if he stays up to the top. And it's going to enable better defense out of Workman overall. So while Visconti can try as many attacks as possible on the inside lane, it's only going to get tougher for the race car and for the tires over the long run to sustain themselves over the course on that bottom lane while he pushes up the track trying to fight for the lead. And if he does get very close, if he does get to the side of his car, it's going to lose them time overall if they remain side by side like they are. And right now Visconti has finally found the inside, so this may be exactly what I'm talking about. Inside 1 and 2, there's the defense out of Workman in the 24 degrees of banking. So we remain door to door for the race leaders of lap 48. That could result in Jay Mulder, Shane Fuller back to the front of the field. But for Visconti, the defense is too strong, not able to complete the move in 3 and 4. And while the gap remains only 1/10 of a second, Visconti is running out of options here on the long run. And what this could do, and what it's doing right now, is just opening up the possibilities for Jay Mulder, Shane Fuller to catch up to this group of drivers and be able to make passes of their own. And you could also point some of the strategy points of tire conservation, like I mentioned earlier tonight, that it could not be in the favor of Visconti anymore, because while Workman has been getting caught by drivers second on back, he is yet to be passed. And when Visconti has gotten up to the driver of this 25, he struggled just a bit. So you could pose sort of the argument here that Visconti has lost a bit on his grip in terms of the tire advantage. And yes, they are on the same lap of worn tires, but if Visconti has been pushing here to try and get around the 25 of Workman, then in turn Workman may be the ultimate victor here by saving his stuff and not pushing it too hard. Visconti again tries to work the middle, tries to find the inside. He will almost have it off of turn 4, but once again that 25 is just going to fully clear and just continue to play this harsh defense. Meanwhile, everybody else has mostly been rather clean, mostly single file racing like we saw in that first run prior to the yellow flag coming out. There were of course a couple of nice battles like you see right here. This is Gino Mero and Timmy Spatz in the 44 machine fighting for what is the entrance into the top 10 But apart from that, everybody else has been kind of running their own race and being in their own rhythm. And I feel like if you're a driver, that could be what you really want to see as you run on board here with your pole sitter Dimitri Rounders in the 93. You want to be in this sort of strategy play where you want to be comfortable, you want to be sort of lenient, and you don't really want to be hard pressed the entire time throughout the race. And so with this opportunity, obviously it does play for more tire conservation to prevail at the end of it. But when you have a little bit of leniency, when you have a bit of relaxation in certain parts of the field, especially when you're single file, definitely helps out between being a little more relaxed in the car and relying more on muscle memory instead of full-on concentration. There's not going to be a lot of relaxing here though for position. This is the 55 of Austin Doran, who was back in second on that charge after the initial restart after that second caution. Hunter Fox though was better on the long run in the opening route up until the first yellow flag. Has been stout here to move up into the top 10, and now he's pushed himself to 8. They both get to the outside wall, and they're going to go around off turn 2. 71 of Merrill involved. They're underneath the racing surface. Will this cause a yellow? Answer is yes. Third caution flag comes out at lap 53 of 80. Tough there for Hunter Fox. They were getting around a lap car out of turn 2. And for the 33, he gets into the wall, collects the driver he was fighting with in Duran, and then ends up getting Gino Mero in the mess as well. Take a look at here off of the second corner. They're both coming out. This is the 53 that they're trying to get around. That's Jarek Hernandez. He was just trying to be the lap car, just trying to be a little predictable, but he gets into the outside wall. And so what that does kind of took these drivers for a bit of a ride, but at the same time, Fox, who was trying to attempt and clear Duran, he fully clears him here, tries to go for the sort of the slide job here up at the top, gets into the wall, slams down the racetrack, gets into the 55, and then the 71, sort of that third party, unfortunately involved in this. And so you'll see it once again right on board here with the 71 Amaro, and you'll see just how there was really nothing he could do to avoid this. This gets caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And for those three, they are going to be taking trips down pit road for, of course, needed service. It doesn't look like too much damage for the driver of the number 71. But as for some of the others, including the 33 of Fox, it may be something to look at. It may spend some significant time down the pit lane. But the fight off pit road has just concluded. And Ethan Workman, once again, not a quick pit stop. He's going to be in fourth out of pit road. And that is going to bring Christian Visconti to the race lead for the first time tonight. Shane Fuller, I believe he may have had a loss there on the fight with Jay Mulder. We'll see if there have been any penalties. I think there may have been a speeding penalty addressed to the 57. He's letting Workman by. May let a couple others. So unfortunately, it looks like the 57 might have been caught guilty on pit road. So Jay Mulder will be second. Looks like Ethan Workman will be in third. Actually, no penalty, I don't think, addressed to Fuller. So he would be back in fourth, actually. It looks like the timing and scoring just was a little bit wrong off the exit coming back to the merger. So apologies for that. But for Christian Visconti, it remains true that he will be up at the front leading this GGR Henry County 120 from Atlanta. So what this is going to do is put drivers in a sort of predicament. This is going to be good on fuel to the end of the race, so there will be no concerns about whether drivers can make it all the way to the checkered flag. What's going to be sort of interesting is how they play this run out, because you've seen many drivers string out, many drivers do well over long runs, many drivers do a little bit poorly off of long runs based on their tire conservation. Christian Visconti, one of the better ones. Ethan Workman definitely doing well. Same deal for Jay Mulder. All these drivers at the front have done well, but now put them in a situation where they're approximately 20 laps from the checkered flag. Does that change their motive going for the rest of the race? Do they plan to do something else? Do they plan to be very aggressive? Do they want to sort of hold the best for last near the end of the race? How do they gauge their time from now on until the checkered flag and where they want to be by the end of it? Of course, you know a lot of these drivers want to win. They want to become the second different winner in this series after Benjamin A. White has disconnected from tonight's session. So we'll just have to take a look and see, as we will most likely get the green flag here on lap 58 of 80. So just over 20 laps remaining here tonight in the GGR Henry County 120 from Atlanta. It'll be Christian Visconti up at the front of the field leading this race back to green. Jay Mulder in the limeade Camaro will be outside of him in P2. Ethan Workman, who didn't have the greatest of pit stops, he's still going to be in third though. Shane Fuller will be outside of him in row 2 in P4, followed by Chris Brown in the 136, Hunter Collier in the 98 back in P6, row number 3. Timmy Spatz, Connor Hervilla will round out the drivers up to P8. Cole Woody will be in 9th, and Dimitri Moundros, your pole sitter tonight, will start on the restart in P10. So a very nice comeback for the driver of the 93, despite a lot of the damage accrued on the opening lap incident. Visconti's been good on the long run. A couple other drivers behind him have done so as well. Now the question remains, who ends up prevailing after the final laps here tonight from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway? We'll have the pace truck come softly down pit road, and the 2 Camaros will lead us to green. Visconti, Mulder, up to the gas and back to the gears. We're back into green from Atlanta. Quick jump there from the 80 of Visconti. No doubt he's going to be leading this race off of turn 2. There's a fight for second already developing as the 25 of Workman wants to try and get quickly back up to P1. He's going to most likely kill the 51 back into turn 3. Mulder's going to keep press. Now is going to clear back. Look at Hunter Collier moving to 4th. Now trying to fight for 3rd as he can catch up to the 51. A lot of big moves being made early. Look at the rest of this top 10, how they're filing out on board with the 17 of Cole Woody. There's Dimitri Moundros. He's trying to give hip support on the outside lane out of turn 2. There's Connor Hervilla not too far behind. And it's a large pack there. There's Timmy Spatz, Ezekiel Reyes fighting for position. And they're all in an attempt to try and catch up to Chris Brown, Shane Fuller, and of course the top 3 runners who have now established themselves as Visconti, Workman, and Mulder. Moundros under fire here from Woody as he goes to the inside. Same deal for Connor Hervilla. He's trying to play defense on the 136 of Chris Brown while they're all trying to catch up to the top 3. Bit of a tight maneuver there out of turn 2. Brown almost about shut the door. Gave way though for the 20 of Hervilla to come down. Look at Woody come 3 wide inside. And they'll be able to clear out of turn 4 somehow. Chris Brown remains on the middle lane, prevailing out of all that. And Connor Hervilla will maintain outside of Cole Woody. So despite that strong inside move, Woody is not able to clear. Now Dimitri Moundros under fire from the ACOG machine, and Ezekiel Reyes may put him under fire from Logan Pugh in enough time. Now here comes Pugh, bottom side. This is quick positions here to the top 10. While that's developed, everybody simmered down now, especially through the top 10 for the moment. However, the gap is still rather short. There's Workman. Good look through 1 and 2 is the difference in lines. Visconti wants to diamond it out through the middle. The 25 wants to hold hope on the bottom side and play as much conservation as he can. But it is hard to do so here at Atlanta. Top 4 mostly scrunched in together. Here's on board look at the 98 of Hunter Collier as he rides behind Jay Mulder. And there he can already see the 80 in his sights back to turn 1. So you just how much of a distance it is. Top 4, actually top 5, spread in under a blanket by just under a second. Here's Cole Woody to the inside of Chris Brown. This is a move for P6 on the racetrack. Cole Woody, we talked about his resurgence up to the front of the field along with his teammate Joe Bergen, the 83. Haven't seen Joe Bergen make any distinct comeback here as he sits 17th. But for Cole Woody, he is really amping up the adrenaline here in the final laps of this GGR Henry County 120. But he is still yet to find that position over the number 136 of Chris Brown. He still plays the solid hardcore defense up at the top. That just remains the pressure to be lied on the 17 and whether he will burn his stuff up as a result. And so now most of the field has simmered single file. Actually scratch that because here comes Jay Mulder inside for second underneath Ethan Workman. This is the first time we see Workman rock the middle since the drop of the green flag on that restart. Almost got into the 25 on the way there. Opens the door for Hunter Collier to make the move for third. That got significantly close between those two drivers. Luckily, they remain clean. And for the moment, Hunter Collier cannot find the clearance on the 51 of Mulder for third. And so they'll fight side by side. May lose a bit of time here to the top two leaders. Workman now going to the very top. Visconti, though, has kept his lead stable. It's still about 0.4 of a second. But it's shrinking a little bit after that runoff turn two. So Workman be starting to put on the dial here. Maybe starting to turn things up. Maybe on the way to catching Christian Visconti in enough laps. So reach around almost about 14 laps remaining from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Visconti in control. Workman trying to catch. Here's Chris Brown underneath Cole Woody. This will be for P6 on the track. Brown still able to play it strong up at the top of the racetrack. Logan Pugh trying to fight against Dimitri Malandros. He gets that position. That moves him into P9. After starting up near the front of the field, Ezekiel Reyes still within this round, floating around the top 10, top 12 as he gets passed here by the limeade Toyota Supra of Josh Patterson in the 02. But everybody's still wrapped in top 5. Now 1.1 seconds of distance between first and fifth. There's a look at the distinct difference between the top two, how far they are, and then where third on back sits. Pretty much everyone's clustered from third on back as Mulder, remember, he had the fight against the 25, put him at the risk of being passed by the 98. But they remain clean. Maybe a run could build up here at the 98. He's got a run. Help here from the 57 of Shane Fuller. Cole Woody again goes to the inside of Chris Brown for that P6 spot. But again, Brown is going to hold through on the top. And the Nova Sim Racing Toyota Supra will have to try once again actually remain content here on the bottom. And so we continue to get closer to the end of this race, but things can still change over the long run. But the timing has been right. But the driver of the 80 and Christian Visconti, no pressure has been given to him since the drop of the green flag on that restart. And although Workman has been trying different lanes, although Workman has kept himself within striking distance, Visconti has just been able to run through, play any line, play the diamond off of all of these corners, and still hold on strong to the race lead. The question is, can he hold it for about 10 more laps and get his first win in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series in the GGR Henry County 120. Shane Fuller actually made the pass here in the 98. This is for P4. And the 57s develop somewhat of a run now. Here he comes inside of the 51 of Mulder. And so put him in a third and put him within a motion to catch up to the top two. An easy clearance out of turn two as he works for the slide job, almost strikes the outside safer barrier. Gonna push the 51 back in range, but nonetheless Shane Fuller on the move here within the final laps of this GGR Henry County 120. Right on board here with the 25 of Workman. We've seen him in control of most of this race. He has just yet to find the momentum. And now he's fallen back by a total of 0.3 that last time by. Visconti set a 32.835. It was a full tenth of a difference. Workman was a 32.945. So it is way slower here on the way for Workman. So Visconti may be playing the tire game to the best of his ability. And as he comes through 3 and 4, he will take 7 laps remaining from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway and try to become the second different winner in 2 races. Shane Fuller has been trying to catch up to Workman the past time by. He's been a little quicker there than the driver of that Ohio State Chevrolet Camaro. And so things are looking a bit dire for the driver of Workman. And Fuller is looking to cram in for P2. Question is, does he have enough time to catch up to Visconti? Chris Brown is falling through the cracks. So it looks like he's not anywhere within the top 10. So not sure what happened to the driver of the 136. And it looks like he either had a huge moment or just had an incident. He's back in 25th right now on the racetrack. So unfortunate there for the driver of the 136, and looked around to the top 10, did not see him at all, so wondered where he was. But that does bring Cole Woody without any sort of fight for position. He's now pretty much locked in at P6 unless he can catch up to Hunter Collier and Jay Mulder for the top 5. However, the time is starting to run out. Logan Pugh, that's him working the outside of Connor Hervilla. This is for 7th. Ezekiel Reyes just behind him for the top 10. It'll be a good run for that ACOG Camaro if he can continue it, or if he can try and make these passes complete. But for the moment, they're all trying to catch up to the driver of the 80, the Visco car Chevrolet, as he's brought it up to 0.8 of a second, riding the top in 3 and 4. He will catch 5 laps to go in the GGR Henry County 120 from Atlanta. Not too much time left for Visconti to grab his first win of the season. And look at the strength of Visconti from Daytona. Was not a favorite to win that race. The Oregon Diecast 200 was not a favorite to win that event, but near the end, found a way through the cautions, found a way through the mayhem, and through some skill, some placement, and some luck, all at the same time, Visconti was able to finish within the top 3. Had a great finish there to put him 2nd or 3rd, I believe, in the point standings, just behind Benjamin A. White. Had Benjamin A. White try to fight for the lead, try to catch up, lost a bit of ground, struck the outside wall, pulled it behind the garage. And after being back and forth with Ethan Workman for a while on the racetrack, Visconti is just a couple laps away, a couple of miles from his first win in this inaugural WORC Dynamo Designs National Series season. Fuller has looked like he's going to lock in 3rd. Battle for 4th on back is still very contentious because Hunter Collier has made a good case for what's going to be the last spot in the top 5, apart from 5th. And this opens the door here. Cole Woody looks for the inside. Saw a lap car on the bottom, let a couple of drivers go by. That's off of pit road. And they're trying their hardest to get around each other. But for Visconti, he will come across the start-finish line. 2 laps left, 3 miles remaining for the driver of the 80 to get his first win. Gap now 0.9 of a second between himself and Workman. There he goes around the lap car Brown, who unfortunately has fallen off in the past 20 laps. Unfortunate to not see him within the top 10 as he comes into the outside wall. Couldn't bring the way for Workman to have a bit of trouble getting around. They still fight for 4th on back. That's Cole Woody. He works to the inside. He's going to most likely take the position away. But for the driver of the 80, couple more corners left. 1 lap left in this GGR Henry County 120. White flag on the air for Christian Visconti. After a hard-fought race, after catching up to Workman but not having any success, gets the valid pit stop with just over 20 laps remaining, and into the final corners for the final time. The Visco car Chevrolet Camaro of Christian Visconti gets to victory lane in race 2 at Atlanta. And a big crash coming to the start-finish line. Hunter Collier involved in it. He finishes somehow in 5th. They're still spinning to the start-finish line. All over the place. 98 stuck on the racetrack. Actually, Hunter Collier is going to fall out. He's going to finish in 8th. That'll bring Ezekiel Reyes to the top 5. But Christian Visconti, clear of all the chaos off of turn 4, is able to come away with his first win of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series season. He will claim the GGR Henry County 120, and he will be the points leader going into the next race. And what a job it was for the driver of the 80. He will burn it down from Atlanta after a hard-fought victory. There's the overboard. Paul Fernando to give his congratulations. Same deal there for the 34 of Henry Clapper. Visconti celebrates here from Atlanta, his first win of the 2021 season. So bring him a substantial amount of momentum with that win going into the next 1.5 mile track at Kansas. He'll head to America's Heartland with a checkered flag in hand and the points lead in his grasp. As a bunch of other cars will give their celebrations. They'll leave the spotlight for the 80, but they want to have some fun as well near the end. And what a job for the driver of the 80. His first win comes here in race number 2 in the GGR Henry County 120 from Atlanta. Let's take a look at your full field results again. Christian Visconti, his first win comes here tonight. Ethan Workman, despite a lot of the race dominated by him, he ends up in P2. Shane Fuller wraps up the top 3. Jay Mulder, the Canadian, comes home in P4. Ezekiel Reyes almost crashes across the line. He ends up within the top 5. Connor Avila finishes P6. Joe Berge will come home in P7 for Nova Sim Racing. Hunter Collier, hard fought trying to get to the top 5, but he ends up in 8th. Garrett White will come home in P9. Josh Patterson will wrap up the top 10 for Nova Sim Racing in his limeade Toyota Supra. And then behind them, Logan Pugh, who had an early run through the front. He ends up finishing 11th. 12 will belong to Cole Woody in the 17. Timmy Spatz will end up in 13th. Dimitri Mandros, who started on pole, some easy damage up at the front of the race. After being hit by Mitch Hobbs, he rebounds to P14. Hunter Fox wraps up the top 15 here tonight. DJ Powell will finish in P16. 17th will belong to Wayne Castile. Paul Granada for Nova Sim Racing will arrive in 18th at the start-finish line. Ryan Lockett will come home in 19th. Gino Merrill in the 71 will round out the top 20 here tonight. Behind them, Henry Clapper in the 34. Not a great night for him, but he comes home 21st. Nick Pena rebounds from the rear of the field to 22nd. Austin Doran, after what looked like a good run through the mid-portion of the race, ends up in 23rd. Chris Brown put one lap down after, I believe, coming down pit road or having an incident. He ends up in 24th. Ryan Martin finishes 25th. Jarek Hernandez is one lap down in 26th. Same deal for league owner Brayson Collins, who looks like he stayed out. Did not have a very good run all the way to the end. Pierce Maffitt ends up 2 laps down in 28th. Kyle Plumstead arrives in 29th. And the 723 of Bennett Parsons unfortunately gets crashed out on the first lap of the race, but he still rebounds for 3 laps down to wrap up the top 30. Aiden Kirker, although a very good run through the mid portion of the race, looks like he had some trouble, disconnected around 28 laps before the race concluded. He finishes 31st. Frederick Seagraves, a bit of trouble for him tonight. He finishes 32nd. Benjamin A. White, after tagging the wall in 3rd, ends up 33rd on the racetrack. Mason Sweet finishes 34th. Ethan Harrison and Mitch Hobbs, the final 2 drivers in the field. Mitch Hobbs spun on lap 1 coming to the opening start. So while Visconti continues to celebrate here tonight from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, we'll take a moment to talk with the driver of the 80, the winner outright here by a good margin here in the GGR Henry County 120 as he grabs his first win of the season. And Christian, know that last week at Daytona was a bit of a wild one. You end up surviving by the skill, by the placement, by the luck. But tonight looked like you had some of the fastest, if not the fastest car outright on the racetrack. Walk us through how you were able to do it, especially with a hard-fought charge from Ethan Workman.
Yeah, I mean, that race was crazy. I mean, I thought my race was going to be over, at the line, because I was right in the thick of that wreck. Thankfully missed it. And, yeah, I just pit on every caution for tires. I figured, track position would be key. And tires, obviously. Got that, and, yeah, I don't know how I did it. I guess I just found a line that worked slightly better than Workman was able to make it work. I was just praying that we didn't get a caution at the end, because I knew we had a couple of wrecks at the end that could have easily, ruined my chances at the win. But yeah, that was insane.
And talk about the long run pace. Looked like you, Ethan Workman, certainly were the top 2 when it came down to it. And at one point through the race, you had a shot at the race lead. It's just that you couldn't really get around and up until that caution came out, and you had the opportunity to surge ahead on pit road and take away this race win. I mean, give us a perspective of what that's like at Atlanta, because at this track, know that these cars and this track combo certainly is known for a lot of slick racing, for a lot of tire degradation. So for you, how was that, especially through the long runs and especially in the midst of the traffic where you were trying to get around what was at that point the race leader?
Yeah, I mean that battle with Workman was really fun. We were sliding around. I definitely felt I was a bit quicker than him, but like that top to middle line, is had a lot of grip in it, and you could definitely like he pinched me down a couple times, which is just how it goes. But that was really fun. A couple times I almost slid into him and wrecked him, but thankfully we were both able to keep it going and had a pretty good battle from that point on, to the finish.
So you wrap up the finish, wrap up the last at least 22 laps after that last yellow, and you become a winner for the first time here in the GGR Henry County 120 from Atlanta. I think a final question before we let you give your shout outs to whoever needs him. What does it mean now, at least to get this win in this sort of fashion? Because, I mean, Daytona, obviously you finish in the top 3. Daytona is always a wild card. You don't expect to do well or to do poorly. You don't know how it's all going to fare, but to have this sort of race going your way and for you to most likely be the points leader coming out of this race, what does it mean for you and for your momentum going into round number 3 at Kansas?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, yeah, gives me a big boost of confidence. I thought it would maybe be a top 10 run, but I didn't think that I have, legit winning pace. So this is definitely a good boost of confidence heading into Kansas, which is, a mile and a half like this that kind of chews up some tires and beyond. I definitely, a big boost of confidence. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it rolling into Kansas and beyond and make a run at the regular season title, something I haven't gotten in WORC yet.
Got a lot of momentum. This win definitely means a lot here tonight from Atlanta for sure. But before we let you go, Christian, to celebrate here from Hampton, Georgia, is there anybody you just want to thank for making this all possible? Any teams, sponsors, or just anybody else you just like to give the love and shout outs to?
Yes, sir. Thanks to Josh Patterson, Dynamo Designs, for painting this bad boy. Tyson Gifford with Limeade Media. Make sure to follow him on Instagram and all that. Bryson Collins and the rest of the WORC admin team, for hosting this. And of course, thanks to you for broadcasting tonight and for the whole season.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, Christian. Want to congratulate you on behalf of the KBueno Racing Network on this win here tonight in the GGR Henry County 120. And of course, wishing you the best of luck and for the momentum moving into Kansas next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Christian Visconti comes home in P1, the winner here tonight, outright, here for the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll kick it back to P2, and it was a hard-fought effort nonetheless for the driver of the 25 of Ethan Workman. Close, but not close enough to the race win. Still a commendable effort here after 80 laps and a very grueling long green flag stretch. Ethan, walk us through that last run. Did you feel you had anything left for the driver of the 80, or what were your thoughts going into that final segment after the last yellow?
Well, that final segment, I was trying to save my tires for the first couple of laps, and then I knew Visconti was pushing because he was already running the high side, so that was probably what cost me the race, because it was 20 laps. He pushed it earlier than I did, and I didn't really gain any time from saving, so I probably should have just pushed along with him during those final laps.
And of course, like the 80 of Christian Visconti, I mean, you had one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car, all night long. You led a majority of this race. So, I mean, what does it take to be one of the fastest ones with this very large field at a track like Atlanta? Because it looks like it gets really hard to control that car over the course of a long run when the Goodyear Eagles start to fare. So for you, what seemed to be the most successful part about your style of driving for a track like this?
My most successful part is probably saving my tires for the most part, just running middle, bottom until the later part of the run when you just run middle to high. But I believe if that first lap wreck didn't happen, I believe, I'm just going to say that Dimitri Mudros would have probably been that fastest car, because he was fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, and all just to get wrecked on lap 1. And I feel really bad for my teammate.
Nonetheless, for your end, you end up in P2, a great finishing effort going into Kansas. Another 1.5 miler next week for the third round of this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. But before we let you go, Ethan, from Atlanta, is there anyone you just want to give a shout out to for making this all possible? Any teams, sponsors, or just anybody you just like to give the love to tonight?
I would like to thank my new team, Whiteout Sim, for giving them the best result that I can. But unfortunately, my teammates got involved in some wrecks, but I made it up by finishing a P2 for the team, so hopefully they're proud of me for that result. Well,
definitely a great finish here tonight from Hampton, Georgia. Ethan, want to congratulate you on the second place finish here in this 80 lap race, and of course wishing you guys the best of luck moving forward to Kansas next week.
Thank you.
Ethan Workman finishes off the top 2, not close enough to catch up to Christian Visconti, but still a solid run for the Ohio State Chevrolet Camaro. We'll kick it back to third, where it was a very late race push from the Sunoco Camaro of Shane Fuller. Wraps up the top 3 after starting in P12. Tonight, we're bringing Shane Fuller from pit road, and Shane, looked like you had a lot of energy for the last part of the race. You kind of hung around the top 5, then found your way among the likes of Jay Mulder, among the likes of Hunter Collier. Give us your perspective on how you were able to do that and push, especially when the tires were pretty much already gone.
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Kenneth? Thanks you for inviting me in here. This is weird. It's first for me, P3 up here. It's crazy. Yeah, that race was unbelievable. You just having those long runs there, that helped out. That was huge. So I was just trying to save my stuff as best as I could in the Sunoco Chevrolet that we had going on. And then that last part, we had a good pit stop. The first pit stop, I blew through my pit stall, so I had to bounce back from that. And we had that long green flag run, so that helped out. And then the last pit stop was fast. It was a good one. So we get out there fourth and just tried to maintain and stay in that high lane. That was key, was running the high lane at this track. And we were able to get that, I think it was the run on Jay Mulder. I was able to get onto his outside and stick the nose out there and complete the pass. It was a little scary, but we were able to get it done and bring it home P3.
And of course, this race being after what was a wild one from start to finish at the Daytona International Speedway. Of course, that race usually a wild card for many because it's just a large track, because anything can really happen. Anybody can become victorious. But for you to have this solid finish here tonight at Atlanta in the second race, I mean, what does it say for you and your team now moving forward to Kansas, to Phoenix, Las Vegas, and the rest of the regular season? Do you feel like this tonight could be a step in the right direction for what's going to be the rest of the season and potentially a playoff run?
Yeah, I really hope so. It's just me and my spotter, Andrew Daigle. He helps me out every Thursday night here, so I'm going to give a huge shout out to him. And he was helping me out a lot through there. So going forward, I think we're looking pretty good. I had this track kind of circled as to undecided how it was going to play out. So I'm really, really happy with everything that happened. I mean, luckily we got through that crash on the restart, or actually the start of the race, and get through that little cluster and bring it home. So yeah, going forward, I'm really hoping to continue getting this momentum going for this team. It's just pretty much me on the team. I'm not part of anybody else. I'm an independent team. So just keep on going with it and see where we can fizzle out at the end of the year.
Looks like the uncertainty was definitely checked out for the positive direction. No doubt here tonight
exactly.
From Atlanta. But nonetheless, Shane, on this finish, before we let you go to celebrate and to, of course, keep moving on to Kansas next week, is there anybody you just want to give a shout out to for making this possible? I know you mentioned your spotter, but is there anybody else you just want to give the love and shout out to for this effort?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to give a shout out to my wife. I know she's watching, so thank you very much, babe. I love you, allowing me to do this. And my daughter, Liana, as well. I know she likes to watch the races while her dad's out there slinging it around with the boys. So thank you, and I love my family very much. And my spotter, Andy Daigle, as well. Thank you very much, Kenneth.
I think the Fuller family should be happy after tonight's P3 finish from Atlanta. Shane, want to congratulate you on behalf of the KBueno Racing Network for this finish from the GGR Henry County 120. And, of course, wishing you the best of luck moving forward to America's Heartland and Kansas next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hope to talk to you more and more after these races.
Shane Fuller caps up the top 3. Great finish, especially near the end, to get around Jay Mulder and a heavy hitting squad of cars from fourth on back. He ends up finishing in his Sunoco machine fast in the top 3 here tonight from Hampton, Georgia. But it's all Christian Visconti who walks away with the race victory by convincing fashion. And should we get the point standings after tonight's race, he will indeed be the points leader. He becomes the second different winner in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series after Benjamin White took the checkered flag at Daytona Beach last week. And so we're potentially looking forward to maybe a third different winner going into another 1.5 mile track. And with another 1.5 mile track means that we will have our coverage next Thursday night, December 23rd, or rather December 30th. That'll be the third round of the series. We'll take a break for Christmas week, but we will be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday night, December 30th, 2021, to wrap up the new year. Hopefully, wrap up the year of 2021 and open the new year. Hopefully, we can get a third different winner, while Visconti and White hold as winners in the first 2 races. So we'll see you then, Kansas, December 30th. That'll be the second 1.5 mile track on the schedule. We'll head for Phoenix in race 4. We'll head for Las Vegas to open up the new year. Auto Club, Urbandale Road America, Indianapolis, and Volusia Speedway to round out the regular season. We'll kick off the playoffs at the start, or rather near the end of February to the start of March 2022. So that wraps up our coverage of the GGR Henry County 120 from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. I want to thank Brayson Collins and everybody at the WORC ownership and the admin team for making these races happen each and every week. Congratulations to Christian Visconti on his first win in this 2021 season. And on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Byer, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long, good night from Hampton, Georgia. We'll catch you in 2 weeks' time, just before the start of the new year, to kick off race number 3 at Kansas.